Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, get ready because today we're unpacking one of the most epic historical showdowns ever recorded. We're talking about the ultimate clash between absolute arrogance and divine will, the story of the prophet of the Nile and the tyrant's fall. It's got massive shifts in power, profound vulnerability, literal miracles, and the total collapse of an empire. And honestly, it's a masterclass in how massive worldly power means absolutely nothing when faced with the divine. Let's get into it.
So let's dive into this because the sheer irony of this story is just staggering. Imagine the most powerful, cruel king of Egypt. He's so terrified by a prophecy about his own destruction that he orders the mass murder of newborn boys. But then, through this crazy, breathtaking series of events, he ends up feeding, raising, and protecting the exact child who is destined to bring down his entire empire. I mean, how does that even happen? Well, let's trace it back.
Chapter 1, The Tyrant and the Infant.
Now, what's really interesting about this setup is the incredible contrast. On one side, you've got Pharaoh. This guy literally claims to be a god. But one night, he has this terrifying dream, a fire coming from Jerusalem, burning the homes of the Egyptians, but completely sparing the children of Israel. His astrologers tell him, listen, a boy is going to be born to the Israelites who will become the cause of your downfall. So Pharaoh panics and orders all their newborn boys killed. And on the exact opposite side of that massive worldly power, you have ultimate vulnerability. Allah inspires the mother of the infant Musa, Moses. She actually hides him at home at first, but when the danger gets too high, she's commanded to put him in the river. She's told not to fear and not to grieve. Imagine that for a second. Holding your baby close, feeding him one last time, and with tears in her eyes, putting him into a wooden chest. A totally helpless infant going up against a superpower.
But here is where divine will completely outmaneuver human tyranny. That chest floats down the river Nile, with Musa's sister secretly tracking it from a distance, and it goes right to the steps of Pharaoh's own palace. Pharaoh's wife, Asiya, spots the baby and instantly wants to adopt him. And just like that, Musa grows up surrounded by absolute luxury and royal protection, literally eating at the table of the man who ordered his death. The irony is just incredible.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, Exile to Madyan.
Let's zoom out and see how this builds. You can see the trajectory here. From a miraculous birth, to a youth spent hidden in plain sight in the palace, to a sudden, jarring exile in Madyan, and finally, his return as a prophet. This exile period, it's basically a crucible. It strips away his royal past and prepares him for what's to come.
So how does he end up in exile? Well, in his youth, Musa is involved in an incident where a man accidentally dies at his hands. He has to flee Egypt for his life. After days of traveling, he arrives in Madyan, completely exhausted, starving, and distressed. He comes across a well where shepherds are watering their flocks, but he notices two young women standing off to the side. He goes up to them and asks, "What's the matter? Why aren't you watering your animals?" They tell him they can't until the men leave, because their father is an old man. Now, despite being totally drained himself, Musa feels compassion, steps up, and waters their flock for them. Then he just collapses in the shade and prays, "My Lord, indeed I am in need of whatever good you send down to me." And that prayer? It's answered fast. The women tell their father, traditions identify him as the prophet Shu'ayb, and he invites Musa in, telling him, "Do not fear, you have escaped from the wrongdoing people." One of the daughters astutely suggests, "Father, hire him. Indeed, the best person you can employ is the one who is strong and trustworthy." So Musa marries one of the daughters, tends sheep, and builds a completely new, quiet life for several years.
Chapter 3, The Divine Call.
That quiet shepherd life doesn't last forever, though. Years later, on a journey back from Madyan, Musa sees this mysterious light near Mount Tur, Mount Sinai. He goes to check it out, and he experiences something literally beyond human comprehension. Allah speaks directly to him. Right there on the mountain, Musa is granted prophethood. It's a huge turning point. The humble shepherd is now a messenger of God, given an assignment that is literally going to alter the course of history.
And the mission is terrifying. Allah commands him to go straight back to Pharaoh and invite him to worship the one true God. Now Musa knows his own limitations. He prays, "My Lord, appoint my brother Haroon as my helper, for he is more eloquent in speech than I am." Allah accepts this prayer, granting prophethood to Haroon, Aaron as well. So these two brothers are about to walk into the greatest empire on earth with absolutely nothing but divine truth.
Chapter 4, Confrontation and Divine Signs.
So the crucial point is, Musa and Haroon actually step right back into the lion's den. They walk up to Pharaoh and deliver this unbelievably courageous demand right to his face. Worship Allah alone and set the children of Israel free. I mean, they are telling a guy who thinks he's a god to let go of his entire slave workforce. Pharaoh, of course, flat out refuses. Instead, he gathers all his top magicians for a massive public spectacle to try and crush this rebellion.
And the showdown is legendary. Pharaoh's magicians throw down their ropes and staffs, using their magic to make them look like hundreds of slithering snakes. It's an intense, terrifying illusion designed to intimidate. But then, by the command of Allah, Musa throws down his simple wooden staff. And it doesn't just look like a snake, it transforms into a massive, real serpent, and right in front of Pharaoh and his entire court, Musa's divine miracle literally swallows up every single one of the magician's false illusions.
The reaction here is immediate. The magicians, right? These guys are the ultimate masters of trickery, so they instantly know the difference between a cheap parlor trick and actual divine power. They drop to the ground in prostration on the spot and declare their belief in Allah. But Pharaoh? Nope. Even after watching his own top sorcerers tap out and submit, he stubbornly refuses. His absolute arrogance just completely blinds him to the reality staring him right in the face.
Because of this insane stubbornness, Allah sends a series of escalating, devastating punishments right down on Pharaoh's people. We're talking catastrophic floods and storms, massive swarms of locusts wiping out the crops, plagues of frogs taking over, and even the drinking water turning to blood. Sign after sign, plague after plague. You'd think he'd give up, right? But no. Despite all this undeniable devastation, Pharaoh stays totally arrogant, completely rebellious, and refuses to submit.
Chapter 5. The Parting of the Sea.
Finally, the breaking point hits. Allah commands Musa to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. But Pharaoh, who just cannot stand losing his power, rallies his massive army and chases after them. And you've got to picture the sheer terror here. The Israelites are fleeing for their lives, and suddenly they are completely trapped. They hit the edge of a massive, uncrossable sea, and they can hear Pharaoh's bloodthirsty army closing in right behind them. Panic sets in. They think it's all over. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between panic and absolute faith. While everyone else is terrified, Musa does not flinch. He stands firm and declares, "No, indeed, my Lord is with me. He will surely guide me." Even with the ocean blocking him and a hostile army breathing down his neck, his faith in divine salvation does not waver for a single second.
In response to that profound trust, Allah commands Musa to strike the water with his staff. And when he does, the unthinkable happens. The massive sea literally splits apart. We're talking giant walls of water towering up on either side, exposing a completely dry pathway right down the middle. The children of Israel, who were just moments away from slaughter, now walk safely right through the heart of the sea.
But Pharaoh's arrogance is literally a fatal disease at this point. He sees this physics-defying miracle and still thinks he's in charge. He orders his army to march right into the parted sea after them. Once the Israelites are safe on the other shore and Pharaoh's forces are right in the middle of the pathway, the divine hold on the water lets go. The towering walls of the sea crash back down. Pharaoh, along with all his staggering wealth, his massive army, and his ridiculous claims of being a god, is utterly destroyed, swept away in an instant.
But here's the kicker, and it's a profound one. As the massive waves overtake him, the tyrant finally breaks. While he is literally choking on water and drowning, Pharaoh screams out his belief in God. But it's too late. His last-minute, desperate repentance is completely rejected. And that leaves us with a really powerful question as we wrap up this explainer. What does Pharaoh's story teach us about the total blinding nature of arrogance and the absolute necessity of recognizing the truth before our time runs out? Power is temporary, you guys, but truth is eternal. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer as we walk through this incredible piece of history. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.